And the man accused of spewing hatred toward Atlanta's Jewish and Black communities is now in custody. Atlanta News First Alani Latang is live outside of the Jewish Federation in Midtown Atlanta. Alani, the FBI is involved in this investigation.
They led the investigation, Carly, because they say they uncovered alleged threatening visits that this man made to Jewish facilities, including here at the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta. But they also say he made alleged hate posts on social media under a fake name.
As a message to my mama, Mama, I love you. Don't
The U.S.
cry.
Department of Justice has this man in federal custody, 42-year-old Christopher Robertson, charged with making threats in interstate commerce. Investigators say he made racial and terroristic threats to Jews and Blacks in person and online under an alias James Lomack. Investigators say Robertson visited several Jewish facilities last week, including at the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta in Midtown and the Temple in Midtown. Officials say he made derogatory comments about Jewish people, plus ranted about the decline of the white race. The FBI became involved, saying several of Robertson's social media accounts featured anti-Semitic and threatening video posts.
If I gotta go to jail, it's okay.
There's no valid explanation for these threats. Threats to kill, threats to murder, threats to destroy, threats to put Jews in the oven. There is no reason for any of that.
Officials say they added additional security to approximately 80 Jewish facilities around Atlanta and warned them to be on the lookout for Robertson. The next day, Robertson went to the Chabad of Peachtree City, where Rabbi Yossi Liu tells me Robertson had made an appointment to talk about theology.
He introduced himself as the emperor for the white people or something, and then he just let go. He just launched into the Jews.
Not knowing of the bolo initially, the rabbi says his daughter alerted him to it. So he called 911 and locked down the facility. But the rabbi still agreed to speak with him with police present.
He couldn't calm down. He was screaming. He was threatening. And he was threatening like clearly. He says, we're going to come at this execution. This is going to be a second Holocaust. There was that kind of thing.
Police escorted Robertson out with a criminal trespass warning. The FBI later arrested him August 1st after an hours-long standoff at his home. Officials say they did find a weapon. Robertson posted the standoff on his Facebook.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise, and these threats are unacceptable.
The Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta gave us a statement, and they say they remain committed to the safety of the Jewish community here in Atlanta and thank law enforcement for their vigilance and partnership. Robertson will be indicted tomorrow. His next court appearance will be on Thursday, where the U.S. Attorney tells me that they plan to request that he be held without bail, and they also say that he faces up to 5 years in prison. Reporting live in Midtown, I'm Alani Latang, Atlanta News First.